I'm Chris Barker.
And I'm Will Betts, and this is the MusicTech My Forever Studio podcast, brought to you in partnership with Audient, and we're coming to you today from TYX in Tileyard Studios in London.
That's right, and in this podcast we speak with musicians, DJs, producers, engineers, and we talk about their fantasy forever studio.
That's right, the fantasy studio that our guests come up with today, they will have to live with for eternity. But we do have some rules, don't we, Chris?
Yes, rules, we love the rules. First of all, our guest gets to choose a computer, DAW, and an audio interface. They get those free. Then we have 6 other items that they can choose for the studio, plus 1 luxury item.
That's right, but there is one more rule, isn't there, Chris?
Yes.
No bundles!
That's correct. A package of software or hardware sold as a bundle is not allowed.
Correct. This time we are joined by a musician, producer, entrepreneur, and the human counterpart to a virtual avatar.
Indeed, our guest might look human, but she pilots a musical alter ego, a super-sentient AI, and she uses a motion capture suit for that. It's pretty interesting.
It is interesting. She has been pushing boundaries. She's hotly tipped. She's got her own YouTube series where she talks about futurism. She's been in music videos made in Unreal Engine. She's even made a music production tutorial for MusicTech, all from her spaceship studio.
Yeah, that's right. Spaceship Studio. We love that. This is My Forever Studio with Sami Tauber, a.k.a. Vinci. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for putting up with our very long-winded intro.
That was quite an intro.
We had a lot to talk about with you. You're doing some crazy things. We're loving it. So I think you know the podcast a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you know the premise. So before we get on to, it's immediately Spaceship Studio. It feels like we've hit Forever Studio areas already in AI land. But let's talk about how this all came about and the alter ego and why and how. I mean, was this always a plan, or were you going to be an artist as a human first?
Thank you so much. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's like, it's not new. Like, you have the gorillas, right? And they have their virtual avatars. But I just love the idea of storytelling. And I was like, how do I represent all the stories I want to tell in my music from a branding perspective and from a storytelling perspective? So like in 2018, I created the character Vinci, and she's like, by like 3D standards, a 6-foot-tall cyborg warrior avatar from the future. And I was like thinking about concepts such as artificial intelligence and like, what does that mean for humanity? And obviously we fast forward to now and we're seeing like, I don't know, ChatGPT and like Midjourney and all of that. And like, how does that impact creatives? But I was like, reverse psychology, what would that look like if it was like a human piloting it, not like an AI, even though it's a fictional, super sentient, intelligent AI character? And then that concept I just really gravitated towards and became like a creative muse for me. And so all the content that I make in the music, I'm kind of like channeling this persona of this fictional being called Vinci.
So Vinci, the music for Vinci is essentially because of Vinci, not a byproduct of the music as such. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's that way round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's very cool. So
it's interesting. Yeah.
So is there a possibility that there'll be future other characters with different musical genres and different a way to output your creativity? It's quite good for as an artist because you don't get pigeonholed as such. You can
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. Like, I recently wrote a novel based on Vinci, and there's like a cast of characters. I know this is a music podcast, but it's all interconnected because the novel then informs the music, and then it forms a bit like a musical. So like the music that I do on stage, it kind of feels like a pop, dance, metaverse musical stage show. So when they read the novel and they learn about the other characters, they'll be like, oh, it all makes sense, and join all the dots together.
So it's like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or
The fact that's where you went to, just like Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Like
I mean, like, no, but you're creating like a whole world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full of characters and full of things.
It's
Which
a
can have
universe.
backstories, a universe, a
Right.
metaverse.
It's the Vinci meta.
I've never felt so old than I do right now. It's happened. Today's the day. It's finally happened. Okay. Everybody can witness this right now. This is the day when I realised. It took longer than most people, I think, to realise, but it's happened now.
No, but
now.
age is a mindset. Age is a mindset.
That's what I thought until today. And then I
Doctors
realised-
don't agree with you.
Yeah, actually, my doctors especially, they're like, whoa. Chris, it's definitely not a mindset. You're gonna die soon. Anyway.
Okay. So you've why? So this Da Vinci character, you decided instead of it being a 1-to-1 for Sami,
Yeah.
that it was going to be this different outlet for your creativity. But what about the studio then?
Yes.
You had this incredible spaceship studio that you present from.
Yeah.
You've got a sort of boiler room style DJ area. You've got this
you.
incredible setup with like the like Raven-like touch screens and all this kind of business.
Yep.
How much of that do you see sort of, in terms of the vibe, because it's a spaceship, how much of that would you take as Sami in your forever studio?
That's a great question.
Or we can lead that into and then tell us about, where you would
Yes.
locate this forever
Yeah.
studio.
Oh, that's a beautiful question. It's almost like, that was my first attempt at like going, what would a virtual studio look like for the Vinci character? And because she's like this intergalactic being from the future and superheroine, I was like, of course, it's like a spaceship style studio. And I just loved the color palette, very futuristic. And as you said, the Raven touchscreen. But there's so many things, like ever since I've written the novel, I've worked out she's like such a multidimensional being, and I've learned so much more about this character that if I could bring Sami into it, it would actually evolve from that virtual studio, which was in Unreal Engine. And obviously that's in a game engine. I can't actually experience it. So I'm wearing a mocap suit and I'm like moving a few things and she's moving the knobs, but I'm not. There's no tangible touch. And so that's why I love this podcast, because it's like, in the real life, like Sami Tauber as Vinci, let's say, physically, I would put this forever studio based on the novel, but I'd physically go on an exoplanet 500 years into the here we go.
Okay,
500 years into the
making
future.
notes
Start typing one.
Yeah.
There's an advanced galactic society, and in the novel, without giving too much away, she does visit this society 500 years in the future on an exoplanet. So let's like all brainstorm. Where would we be 500 years in the future?
Still arguing about analog versus digital. 100%.
The idea that we still have corporeal forms, I think, we gotta.
Yeah, we won't, but there'll still be people going, you got to use tape.
It's just like Neuralink-filled brains in jars. Just being like, I prefer.
God, yeah, the sound of this, it's there. I don't care if we're 500 years in the future.
Yeah, well, I imagine everything's like sentient as well. Like, I don't know how I'd feel though if like all my instruments were talking to me, like, and if they had like, their own intelligent brains.
I'm sure
like...
a lot of rock stars in the 70s thought that.
I like that idea of like, when people go into smoky old studios, they're like, if these walls could talk, and just like, please don't. I don't need any more.
I've already got enough voices in here. I don't interrupt my creative process.
Exactly.
But yeah, like it's thoughts like that when you with this podcast. I was like, well, like advanced technology, but with what we already love today, and as well as like nature and just tapping into all of that. What can sound do, like healing as well. I could just picture this space like a very zen healing vibe. I think like James Turrell.
Okay,
so, like with that lighting, and all
so
of
we're
that
on,
vibe.
but we're on a planet, but essentially it's Earth-like ish, as in like there's nature. So where you're locating this, it's not like the spaceship or floating. It's going to be on a ground of sorts. And so talk us through what's that dream look like, that that space, without going into the gear yet, just like
I mean, I just picture everyone's this worked out, like free energy and just like all those things that we just can't work out today as a human species. Like this is like my pure fiction imagination, and like everything's like that you want to be sentient is sentient, so everything is interconnected in this beautiful system of oneness. I don't know, and like everything that's like sacred geometry is like connected to sound, and it's all symbiotic. And so anything that you make, it like has a positive effect on like how your experience, and then everything's like super immersive as well. And so
is it impossible to make negative things?
I just think it's like a place of optimism, but pragmatic optimism.
Damn, I definitely won't be welcome there, would I?
Like MIDI 2.0, is that everything? Is that everything's MIDI 2.0 enabled? That's happened. It's all everything talks to everything.
There's no
else.
USBs that go in the wrong
there's
way.
Everything's USB-C.
Yeah.
Or better.
We're done.
Thunderbolt.
Or Thunderbolt, yeah. Whoo-wee.
Wow, we're so in the future now.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I mean, this is an extreme vision of the future. What bothers you right now about being in a studio? Because I know for me, like cables do my head in.
Oh yeah.
Can't handle it. If I've got to plug something in, I'm always rolling over a cable, or like my headphones are coming off or something like that. So
Right.
what are those peeves for you right now? What are you trying to solve?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like in my studio in Australia, like it was very oddly shaped, and so there were reflections and reverberations, and so like I had having to compensate for too much low end, and so very happy with the speakers. I had the Genelix A240 SAM speakers, and they had the GLM room correction software.
Yeah.
You know, for any anomalies, and so like thank goodness for that, because like my mix is exponentially improved with those speakers.
Yeah.
So yeah, pet peeves are like, you know, if you don't have a properly treated room, like, you know, as a
But that's a
producer.
pet peeve that's solved by technology.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
which is what you're trying to do 500 years from now, essentially.
So perfect acoustics, obviously, in your friend's studio.
Yeah, I just like I don't picture it being like, you know, like a dead like sound studio, like perfectly treated. Like I picture it having like a real vibe and nature as well, but like it's just everything is so interconnected as a system. Like imagine where AI would be 500 years in the future. It's like it's going to compensate for anything for you. Everything's like smart.
So how, once you're at that point, which is a kind of a hot topic right now, but no, but in real terms, it's like where does human input still become important at that point? You know, once you get to that point, like is there even any point?
Right. I mean, like, because everything that's happening, like, today with, like, the explosion of AI, like, Mid-Journey and, oh my goodness, ChatGPT, I feel like in this society, it's all about, well, human or whatever being you are and your experience and having a positive outcome experience. So whatever that intelligent system is, it's working with you and it's not working against you, but it's not taking away from your experience, and it's encouraging you to be your most creative self. So it is a very positive outlook.
Does that not sound to me? Yeah, it's definitely. But
You're going to say it sounds like a bundle?
No, I was going to say it sounds like the AI is dumbing itself down for us humans. Going, we'll help you be. I mean, we could just do all of this, but we'll just, you know, you do your drawings and your paintings, and the AI is looking after us like we're just a
primary school teacher.
Yeah, like, basically, yeah.
Right, like we're like 5-year-old kids or something.
And they're just like, oh, do your music and your drawings, that's it. Yeah, just stop killing each other and bombing, you know.
Yeah.
Do your paintings, which is a positive thing.
I just like the concept of a private personal assistant. PDA. You know, it's like it's your data, it's private, you own it, it's sovereign, but like it's there to assist you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not there to create for you.
Right.
It's more Jarvis than Google, are we saying?
I want Jeeves.
You want Jeeves back? He's not coming back, Chris. Don't know how to break this to you.
Today's the day. Okay, well, we're in space, 500 years, on an exoplanet, 500 years from now.
Any specific exoplanet? Any particular
Let's name
features
it.
outside the...
Oh, I can't. You have to read the novel.
Oh,
okay. So are there
Got
like terrain features? What else is around the studio?
What's the weather like?
Yeah.
I'm British. I need to know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like...
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, like, think Willy Wonka, like, in this universe.
Chocolate lakes and...
Well, there's no chocolate lakes, no.
That's
but,
literally
like,
the only thing
just,
I wanted.
like, imagine everything is, like, healing and regenerative at one with nature and technology. So it's, like, but it's, like, super, you know...
Oompa-loompas, or...
It's like a glorified theme park. But,
Oh, okay. I see.
you know,
okay. Nice.
you know, zero-G, things like that. Nature's there, you know, it's just a very advanced society that's switched on, that it's like my vision of a prototype of a happy society. And we could get into this, what does happiness mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do you constitute happiness? What does that mean? But it's a value proposition. And anyway, so Vinci visits this place. And so I thought, well, to answer your question, this could be a cool place to put a studio.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I wouldn't mind putting
it.
it there.
So,
Yeah.
let's... It feels like the next three are going to be so...
It's just a step back. I feel like we're 500 years in the future, so maybe us
But you're
asking
still
you
going to
what-
need either a Mac or a PC, an audio interface, and a DAW, okay? So, so
Yeah.
we're clear, that is... Yeah. Doesn't matter what the AI is, what planet we're on, you're going to need an audio interface.
Yeah.
Right, I've got to take it from 2023. Like, I have no
Yeah.
choice. Like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid so.
it's like Star Trek. I've just got to teleport there now with this gear.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a time travel
Totally
episode.
caught that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to answer that, I mean, I love, so PCs for Unreal Engine, but for music, Mac all the way.
So which one you're choosing? You have to choose one. You can can pick another one, but it will come out of your 6 items later on if you want a PC as well or a Mac as well.
I might just sneakily take the PC because it's not under the music for the Unreal Engine stuff that I do, but because this is music. Was that cheating?
I don't know. I feel pretty uneasy about that actually.
Yeah.
There's no cheating here.
Just because the PC have really good GPUs for visual stuff. Anyway, we're here for music, Mac, because that's what I'm used to and I just love it. And
I mean, you could just take the biggest, most spec'd out Intel Mac that is still made, and then you could still run Windows on it, when no one's looking.
Yeah, I just won't tell anyone.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you haven't told us about that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And what DAW are you using on there?
Ableton. Yeah, I'm an Ableton girl. Yeah, I've been producing for how long? I don't know, but it feels like 10 years, but I don't know. But yeah, always been on Ableton.
Have you been tempted by the Bitwig?
No. Because I actually have tried Pro Tools, but it just didn't gel with my sort of style because I do electronic music and I love the session view, and obviously I use the push a lot, and it's the brainchild of Ableton. The flexibility. I love the Max programming aspect of it. So, I'm just hooked on Ableton. So, yeah, and I believe it will still be around 500 years in the future.
Oh, that is a bold statement.
Yeah, if Ableton's listening, I hope that makes them happy.
Well, I mean, Cubase is still here. What's that, 37 years now?
Nearly 500. Yeah.
Well, it feels like 500 years for Cubase, doesn't it, Bless?
It's a long time, yeah.
They've done
a extremely long time.
No, but they're well on their way.
35, yeah. Something like that. Incredible. How about audio interfaces then?
Well, what I'm used to and what I love is the Apollo UAD Mark II, the twin. Yeah. I know we can't do bundles, but it does come with all the plugins. So.
Not all the plugins, but some plugins.
Yeah, where you can get plugins.
Are you going to go for the twin? You're not gonna
You don't
upsell?
want to upsell your dream.
I mean, I was waiting for that. I just really wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Nice. Well, it worked.
I mean, what would you recommend?
Well, it depends whether you have any microphones you're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I use my voice mainly, so
you might want, depending on what else you've got, you might want to have one with preamps. So
preamps,
the top one.
The X8P is the top.
Okay.
People select this so much. Will knows all the model numbers off by heart.
It's great.
I mean, look, I do love a model number.
I do love good mic preamps. I've been using all the virtual ones, but if I could afford it, I would get a hardware preamp for sure.
But do they? Well, you can afford
6
it.
items.
You've got 6 items coming up, so we haven't got to. We'll get to item number 1 from that list soon. But so X8P. The preamp models, do they come as part of that?
Yeah, it varies. It depends when you buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you might.
I'll say we're buying it 500 years from now in the future.
Oh yeah, it's all bundled.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Thought so.
Nice.
Right. Item number 1 then we get. So this is what you've got so far. You've got your location. You've got your Apple Mac Pro. You've got the X8P. And Ableton 11 Live Suite. So
yeah, exactly. I love Live Suite. Yeah.
So item number 1, what's it going to be?
I don't know if I can say this, but the Dolby Atmos system.
Ooh.
Well, I think we've allowed it before.
Okay.
I think really early on somebody had it and we didn't hit the air horn, and now it's canon.
It's like one of those judgments, isn't it? Once the judges
There's
decided.
precedent,
Yeah. It's a bundle, but it's the only way to have it, right? So it's fair on our part.
Yeah.
It's not a bundle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of Atmos system and why Atmos?
Okay, the big one is the Y Atmos. Obviously, I love Dolby, and I've heard it before, and it sounds incredible. Y Atmos because I make content for the game engine, and so everything I think about is immersive environments. And so if this was in the studio 500 years in the future, I could picture a really badass surround sound system, that's spatial audio, and mixing that and moving the different sounds around, and in real time, also seeing the render in the game engine in Unreal. And so any sounds that I do, I can picture Vinci in a virtual environment, and it would feel very immersive. And then I could package it as a, VR project or something.
And how standard? Okay. I mean, I haven't been to many commercial studios recently. Well, for quite a few years. But is this becoming the standard in commercial studios everywhere now?
A lot of people are. I mean, there's a lot of
because you can downmix to stereo really easily on it as well. So
funnily enough, there was actually a thing I was reading the other day where a lot of engineers who have to mix for spatial. So presumably you're mixing for spatial as well when you.
Yeah.
What are you checking on? Because I know a lot of people are using like AirPods Max and that kind of thing as like a reference.
Yeah, well, I've been mixing for stereo, but like I work with an engineer. He's great, called Luca Pretolesi from Studio DMI.
Yeah,
so they've got the Dolby.
I know Luca very well.
Yeah, Luca's awesome. Shout out Luca.
Yeah. Come on the podcast, Luca, as well. I've emailed you about it.
Yeah, but it's great because I get my mixes to, I'd say like 95%, and he's got great sound system and rooms, and he's great.
So that's that Vegas room.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good.
So do you want the biggest and best Dolby Atmos system you can possibly have?
I mean, I'll take what I can.
Let's see. Come on. Upsell dreams, Will. Upsell dreams.
I'm working on it. I'm working to upsell your
Thank you. I just feel like it's just about that simulating immersion, and just hearing that in that room and knowing it's going to be an experience, whether it's a theme park or a physical venue or a virtual venue. Like that is where I'm going, I believe, as an artist, so as soon as spatial audio became a real thing, in today's age, I was like, yes, because it just works really well with this multimedia project.
Do you want to pick a brand at least that you
Does Genelec feel right to you, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it does, because that's what I'm familiar with, and that's what I've been mixing on.
So it would make sense to have that as the Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Genelec Atmos. There we go.
Yeah, it's just how it's placed in the room, so I can have that immersive experience. Yeah.
And so this is something that I wondered about when all of the Apple spatial music stuff happened, that things getting presented in a way where you'd have certain elements being head tracking and certain elements not. How do you deal with that when you're thinking about your character in the metaverse? How do you deal with all of that stuff?
Testing.
Right, okay.
Lots of R&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because it's new territory, and so you don't know until you try. And so I always have approached this Vinci project with very DIY. Because I'm, a self-learned producer, self-learned Unreal Engine, motion capture. So, it's every day is a new day of learning for me.
And I guess it's not strictly about replicating what may or may not happen with acoustics or audio or art in the real world. It's about breaking that, right? A little bit.
I think it's a bit of both, because I feel like people want to have that experience, that feels realistic, but at the same time, the beauty about all of this is that you can break the foundations of reality. Yeah. So that's exactly where I believe the Vinci project's sitting, and so I just like the concept of the fabric of the universe and being able to, meld different materials and sounds together, and it just be something that you've never heard or experienced before. And then maybe it inspires someone to make it in reality.
Yeah.
I know this woman, she's a 3D artist, and she made a car, a feminine future car, and they're like, let's manufacture that. So I'd love to see that for music. Someone someone create things in virtual environments, and they're like, let's make this physically. Yeah,
I mean, it's mad actually in music how old some things still are. I was joking about the analog digital thing 500 years, but there's still guitarists that refuse to just the purity of the instrument. The same with piano players and that.
Do you think there are that many people still like that? I feel like that was, I don't know. I don't know. Have you come across any of these people, Sami? Any of these Luddites?
No, but I like old school stuff as well. So it's it's super weird, retro future. So I mean, but yeah, I see that. But that's always what's it called, the Gartner hype cycle of tech innovation. Yeah. And so people go in the trough of disillusionment, and then you go up the slope of enlightenment. And so I feel like society might at the moment be a bit in the trough of disillusionment. So I hope we kind of rise up slope of enlightenment.
Yeah, I want to go up the slope of enlightenment.
That's the name of your studio, isn't it?
No. Mate, it's the trough of disillusion. You're thinking about the one next door to me.
Oh, yeah, I am.
It's beautiful in there. It's lovely. Mine's a nightmare.
Yeah. I just like the concept of Imagineers, theme parks, right? You think of I don't know, Disney, and all the different people cross disciplines, and there's music in the theme parks. Funny story, how I actually discovered Daft Punk was through the Tron section of the theme park. And people go, that's so random.
Yeah, I'm feeling really old today. Mine was when the album came out in like 1997.
Like the legit way. The way you should discover Daft Punk.
No, I'm joking.
No,
There is no
totally
should.
get it.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's exactly why those artists do those things as well. Because
yeah, I didn't know it was Daft Punk. I was in the Tron section, and I was like, I love this music. And then, like, you know, as a teenager or whatever, and then I just go down that pathway of discovery and discover all their old discography, and I'm like, wow. And so, if we propel to today and the future, it's like, can they discover your music in these immersive environments, whether it is a physical space like on Earth or virtual, and then they deep dive into your music catalog, right?
Item number 2.
Item number 2. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about these incredible imaginary instruments and how they might inform reality. What is the thing you need musical instrument-wise?
I'll be serious. The Neumann Till M103 is what I record on.
You wouldn't want to be upsold.
Well, I like my Neumann.
Yeah? Well, it can be, you know.
Okay.
Oh, we can upsell. It's fine.
I
like the sound effect.
Upsell your dream.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want a Neumann U47?
Oh, God.
Or do you want it in a different finish? Do you want it signed by somebody? Who's your vocal hero? You know,
Goodness me.
Forever Studio.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I love. I don't know. I was looking at the Telefunken as a mic as well, but now I'm jumping brands, so
It's okay.
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, well, it's allowed. Yeah.
What do you recommend for the Telefunken? I was thinking the classic, you know.
The 251.
Yeah.
If it's for voice, that's the one, isn't it?
It is beautiful. I've been eyeing it for quite some time.
We've had that on the pod before, haven't we? It's a
It's
classic one.
It's a classic vocal mic.
Yeah.
It's punchy as well. That's
Jesus. 12.
nearly 12 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Forever Studio territory.
Yeah, that's
that one.
good.
Yeah.
But you know
what
what?
we
I do have a really special place for the Neumann. I've recorded all my records on it, and so you know, I can make peace with not upselling. You know, I know I talk about all these crazy imaginative things, but I am a big believer in, like, you know, also limiting yourself and putting yourself in a box to make yourself more creative, because you do not need like all the fancy gear and equipment. You know, and there's been incredible records that other people have made on Neumann Till M103. It's a beautiful microphone.
It's still
It's
an
so
excellent
warm.
mic. Yeah.
Let's lock in that.
Yeah,
for
the
now.
103,
I think
for sure.
I think your heart's there.
My
isn't
heart
it?
is there.
Yeah.
If something just works, you know.
Yeah.
And are you just using it for vocals, or are you using it to record other elements?
Just my voice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I do lots of vocal layering and all of that.
So we've got 4 more items left. Moving on to item number 3.
Ooh. See, I love synths, so like hardware synths. Even though it's in the future, I would still take it with me. So I'd take my Prophet 6.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, like, because I feel like you need to it's like a time capsule for the future.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that beautiful, rich, warm analog sound and 6 voices and, I don't know, all the beautiful patches, and you can make your own patches, and just like the arpeggiator.
That's the new one, isn't it? Essentially, the new.
Yeah,
Prophet,
well, it's a tribute to the Prophet
sequential.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. They just don't make bad synths, really. That company, do they?
They don't. Yeah. R.I.P. Dave Smith.
Yeah.
That was extremely sad when he passed away. But
Yeah.
it's what a legacy in that company.
Well, 500 years from now as well.
Yeah, incredible legacy.
Still got the Prophet 6 there.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be like a museum piece, though. Like, you know, it'd be like, you know, it'd be cool if it could talk to me, though. It might like give me some ideas.
What kind of ideas has it given you so far? Because it sounds like it's an inspiring
Well, just ideas
thing
from up here.
Right, okay. The normal kind.
The normal kind, yeah, exactly. But, you know, just like if it was intelligent, you know, what would that look like?
Yeah.
I
Not
feel
like
like it would sound...
kill, go out and kill.
I wouldn't mind co-creating with an intelligent prophet.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I feel like it would have the voice of Kit from Knight Rider. Like, hello, Sammy. No?
Take the knife.
Why is it always become murderous in your mind?
I just think that's what they want.
This is a positive future galactic society.
You can't
like,
have
you know.
negative...
Oh, that's true, yeah. That's true.
But that's okay.
Okay.
Maybe it'll have like a glitch setting every now and then. The Matrix just glitches.
Just my one. It's like, it's still happening again. And then somebody else walks in the room and it's like really nice.
So your synthesizer is gaslighting you into murdering people. Wow.
My future's very different, guys. Very different.
Really?
I've got gear that gaslights me into murdering people.
Wow.
I'm like, no. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so the Prophet 6.
That's locked in.
Can we hear this on your records? Yeah. Is it something you're using?
Yeah, I have a lot of songs that are unreleased, but it's on those songs, and I've recently performed them in London, Denmark Street, at the Lower Third, and I have a lot of The Prophet in it, because I'm trying to bring like a future dance record vibe, and so it's got those big like dramatic chords, And
are you playing it live? Are you triggering it via MIDI?
No, it's just in the playback, but I recorded it it's in the records. And
but you're using hands-on controls when you're playing back MIDI and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Nice.
But yeah, it's like you can't replicate that sound. It comes with the hardware. So I'd have to take that with me to the studio, because you're trying to simulate that on a virtual software synth,
Yeah.
It just never matches the real thing.
And is as much of that to do with just the physicality of it and being able to...
Yeah, it's like, because, I am a plugin girl and I love software synths, I can make anything and Ableton's great, but it's like sometimes you just want to, I don't know, get away from the computer and just touch things and be tactile, and it's almost like your mind goes into a flow state. Everyone can relate to this that's a musician, and so that's why I'm like, yeah, even though everything's intelligent in the future and everything could be in the box, sometimes you need like to have that physical experience that's immersive of like, having those hardware synths to play with, so you're mentally separating yourself from the view of the arrangement in your mind, and you can just jam. And
the limitations of not it being max for live, everything possible, but like what's possible with just this.
Exactly, and it's fun playing with all the oscillators, and you just sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, and that's the beauty of like hardware analog synths,
And that's why the debate rages on in 500 years' time.
Yes.
I still believe it will be around. But I'm just curious, like, if there will be intelligence. So that's where we're standing right now.
Okay. Item number 4, then.
The Roland Jupiter 8. The sound that's on the Thriller track. Yeah. Yeah, you just know it when you hear it. Yeah. And so...
It's killer, that synth. Absolutely killer.
It's expensive, too.
Yeah, we're in tens of thousands for one now. What's the latest on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. They rocket up in price, don't they?
There's not that many. I think there was only hundreds made. I don't know. Did they go into thousands?
Oh, okay. That's £27,000.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Someone's
it's insane.
Absolutely off their head. They're going to get nearly 30 grand for that. Maybe someone will pay that. I don't know.
Yeah, they will. Somebody that just wants one.
But like, I feel like, why is that price so high? It's because they associate with these famous records.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane, though.
And it's just hard to find the mint as well. When that one's clearly mint, and it's like,
I feel like I assume with like this idea, like everything's in the box with Ableton, so the 6 pieces that I take are almost like museum pieces, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're allowed to play them.
Well, of course, that's duh.
But like, wait, do you mean like in glass cases? I'm so confused. What do you mean?
No, to play it, put in the records.
Oh,
but
right,
it's I'll take it with me as like a time capsule into the future. Right. So I'll be like, remember that time on planet Earth when this was used in this record, and it was really famous, like the Thriller record,
Yeah.
It's a sound.
I love that you've got a time capsule studio. I think it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It's good studio banter, So when I have guests over on this society,
what is this?
Yeah, I'll be like, well, you should have been there in 2023 or in this year in 980, whatever. It's like
and so again, is that something that you're using on your?
No, I just fantasize about it.
And have you used any of the VSTs? Are you sort of drawn to any of those?
No, the VSTs that I use are like, I love Diva.
That's an amazing VST. Holy,
I assume like that's like comes with this in Ableton as part of Ableton.
That's Yuhi. That does not come with it. I mean, you don't.
Maybe if I had to, what I use is Diva. So maybe I will take Diva because that's on all my records.
Well,
and
I know that. Were you replacing the Jupiter?
You can't replace the Jupiter with the
I know,
Diva,
and I'm just emotionally torn right now.
You got two more
left. So
well, okay. No, let's keep it, and also add Diva as the next item.
Item 5 is Diva.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a state, like we're going between like, things that it would be fantasy that I would love to use versus things that are stable. Diva is like my stable go-to, like analog warm sounding software synth plugin.
So when did you discover that, and tell us about that? Because it's not that new, but it's
One
one
of
of the newer ones of those kind of legendary bits of software now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So,
I think it was like 6 years ago, and I was just looking, before I owned any hardware synths, I was like, what is a beautiful, warm analog sound that comes as a plugin? So that's how I discovered it, from a Google search, basically.
All of his stuff's really great, though, isn't it? Like the Yuhi stuff is like.
yeah,
Is it somebody? Heckman? Heckman? Yuhi? I think so.
that sounds right.
Yeah, I make my pads with it, arpeggiators, basses, leads, just everything,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a hell of a VST.
Yeah, I really go between that and Serum as my main
Yeah,
two.
that was another big headline one, wasn't it, for
yeah,
everybody?
yeah.
It got
And-
quite EDM-y, that one, in terms of like...
Yeah, and then so I pivoted away from that because I do like having that warmth in the
Yeah.
records. So yeah, if I had to pick a software warm synth plugin, it'd be Diva for me.
Okay, lock it in.
It's locked. It's locked.
And
That's-
now, when thing gets hectic, because now you've got one item left.
I think I know what it is.
Okay.
It's a Steinway grand piano.
Ah,
But I picture, because I play piano, but and so like when I write my songs, 'cause I'm a songwriter, I'd like to sometimes just sit at a piano and go, does this work with no electronics,
Yeah.
nothing? So it's like a tester. I would love if it was like, I don't know, like zero gravity. So in
Nice.
this fictional studio, it's just like, I don't know if it's like in a pod or something, but if
it
it's
doesn't have legs, it just floats. It's the same shape, but it just...
I just kind of would like to float up to it and just like sit in it, and then like feel like, when you go to those like 360 cinema experiences, and so like as I'm playing it, I'm not only am I floating, but I feel like I'm in a 360 cinema. So maybe the environment changes to like, I don't know, outer space.
Well,
And
what's
so
that new Roland piano that has drone speakers? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that. No, what is that?
Honestly, they launched... Is this where it's going to be a weird dream that I've had? And they've got little drones that float around that are the speakers to the keyboard. 50th anniversary. Here we go.
Ronnie's astonishing 50th anniversary piano comes with flying drone speakers. No.
Yeah.
drone speakers.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. What?
Actually, like look,
What?
and
That's perfect.
yeah.
Thank you.
So you could have. It's okay. We've upsold.
Oh, yeah. We have. Yeah.
Easily upsold some dreams there. But yeah, so you could have like a floating Steinway, but with drone surround sound something.
Something like that, yeah. I just kind of like the feeling of like, I don't know, playing a grand piano in space. I don't know, like I'm just really set on that environment. So if it can shift
A
to,
lot
like,
of my friends would say that's where I need to play piano.
right.
In space, where no one can hear you.
Exactly. In a vacuum.
Chris, you play this in space? I don't know that song. No, in space.
Right.
Needs
Yeah.
hard vacuum,
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, hard
Yeah.
vacuum. But it's just I just think it's like a classic, and it's like you can't go wrong with it. It's just
So we're talking the big one.
It's
was
iconic.
it Model D? Was it the one?
yeah,
Big-
just a big black one.
yeah.
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 Just the classic. Yeah.
Just a classic.
Well, before
Just
we
like
get
that Elton John moment, just
Yeah.
like floating in space.
singing Tiny Dancer. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
I can feel that.
Rocket Man.
Yeah, Rocket
Oh,
Man,
of course,
exactly. Yeah.
Again.
Because I have those moments, like I'm making a record, I'm super like electronic-y, and I'm like playing with my synths. Oh, I forgot, we've run out of items, haven't we?
Well, you can always switch one out.
Let's.
Are
Do
you
you
thinking-
want to just run through?
Yeah.
Before we run through, just which one are you thinking, and where are you going with this?
Yeah, I just thought of it. Yeah, no, the Moog grandmother, the semi-modular.
What are you gonna? I mean,
Yeah. I feel like I'm happy with what we've got, so it's cool. I can make peace. But if I could add a seventh, I would take it with me because
afraid
it's
you
my little
can't.
baby.
The seventh item is a luxury item which isn't gear related.
Oh.
But
but it's so you've got one of these, have you? And it's in your setup.
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
and I use it in my records, so I feel like I'm neglecting a baby now. Yeah.
just tossed out of the spaceship.
Out of the airlock.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. So,
Run through,
do a
and see
quick
how this
run through.
sounds.
Sounds-
So, listen in, we'll see what we've got, and then we'll get to the luxury item.
Okay.
We're on an exoplanet 500 years in the future. It's zen-like, vibey, completely at one with nature and technology. The surround is a bit like a glorified theme park with zero-G play areas within a utopian society. It's one of the most detailed locations we've had so far.
You're welcome.
Your free items are an Apple Mac Pro. Your interface is a UA Apollo X8P. Your DAW is Ableton Live 11 Suite. And for your items, for speakers, you have chosen a Genelec Atmos rig, Your second item is a Neumann TLM 103 microphone. Your synths, you've chosen a Sequential Prophet 6, a Roland Jupiter 8, and a softsynth Yuhi Diva. And then finally, you rounded out your sixth choice with the Steinway Model D grand piano in a 0G tube.
Why not?
Will that work? Do you think that's going to give you enough range to do what you need to do?
Yeah, whether it's practical, I don't know, but in my imagination, it sounds fantastic. So yeah, count me in.
Great.
Lock that in.
All that's left is then your luxury item. Like what are we thinking? Something that's not a piece of gear, but that you want in the studio for eternity.
Oh goodness. So if it's not a piece of gear, I had an idea, but it might come under. It's not music gear, so maybe it'll work. It was like a Vinci branded haptic suit. So you know how you have the Tesla haptic suits right now, right? No, they're like VR, and you can like simulate. It's like motion capture, but you can also feel the experience, right? You know, say if you're in a first-person shooter game, you can feel it on the haptic suit.
Feel like you're getting like shot.
Yeah, but instead of like
that
it's like positive, and so like imagine it's like 500 years of future. It's like a smart Vinci suit, and it's like it self regenerates. It's it kind of like, instead of like making you feel like, I don't know, any of those experiences, it's all positive experiences. So like, what would sound frequency healing feel like on the body? Right.
Okay.
And so like anything maybe that you make in the future in the studio is like all tuned to a frequency that has a positive effect on, because our bodies are made up of like primarily water. And if you think about cymatics, it produces geometric patterns like cymatics. So like, what would that look like if the music was so perfectly in tune with our natural body, you know, homeostasis, you know? And so these suits kind of like amplified that positive experience, right? In like, so you're in like this full-on Zen environment. Mind you, I do love EDM music, so so I know there's a bit of a tension there. But what I would like is also, because I do the avatar thing and a motion capture is of interest, maybe this has a multi-purpose suit. Maybe it's also like a motion capture. So anything that I'm doing is also like, it's also like a mocap suit for the Vinci character in some simulated virtual environment.
Amazing, yeah. That's
again,
a new one
and detailed.
Yeah,
I like the detail.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool.
Incredible. Right. Well, I mean, let's talk about then that, because that's the end of our show, really. But let's talk about what you've got going on outside of Fantasy Foreverland in the real world. What's going on with you right now? What's coming up
in the real and unreal world?
Yeah.
You need the sound effect for that.
Yeah.
Right. I was just waiting for that. Couldn't get that quick enough.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that question. So I mean, I just did a show for the Brits sponsored by MasterCard, and that was like the first kind of physical debut of me performing as the Vinci character, because I've been doing a lot of VR performances, and I've been performing for quite some time, but in terms of this stage show that kind of fits with this novel that I've written, it's bringing it all together into a live entertainment experience. So you feel like you're entering like a space opera pop dance musical, and so more of those shows coming up. But it was really nice to like debut it here in London.
So do people come to your like virtual shows as well as characters themselves? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. And so it's really nice as well seeing people in real life, and like you're just like, oh, that was you in that virtual environment.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah. And so like I just, there's nothing better than performing physically, and that was always like the end roadmap for me. But I always wanted to tell a story, you know, because I grew up in the musical theatre space as well. So rather than be cast in another musical, I was like, I'm casting myself as Vinci. So I'm just playing the role of Vinci.
And is there the potential to do like, so you do the live show at the same time as the virtual show? So like, totally. People can tune in.
Yep. That's where it's going. And like, I'm excited about augmented reality and holograms. And I mean, that's not new, but like what I love is like, you know, I could wear like, you know, a stage outfit mocap suit physically and perform, but there could also be in real time in Unreal, the Vinci character in some environment, and maybe they can AI translate it to Korean or something. So it reaches another audience. Yeah. And so like all of these things is like really excites me about the future of technology and like where it can go with live entertainment. Because I just love good stage shows and, musicals, theme parks. So
Yeah.
a lot of my efforts are going towards putting on the best show that's entertaining as possible. And so, it feels like you're immersed in a story. And so a lot of the music that I perform was like unreleased. And so it's going to come out in an interesting way because it's going to connect with the novel. So when people open the novel, it's like they're opening a chapter and there's a song that relates to that chapter.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And when can we expect this stuff to start coming out then?
This year, yeah.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Yes, excellent.
And with all of the stuff about super-sentient AI, you're talking in some of your YouTube stuff about what's going to happen when the singularity arrives. How far away do you think the singularity is?
Well, according to Ray Kurzweil in his book, The Singularity is Near, he said 2045.
Right.
But I believe it'll be sooner. But, because like we're already seeing like an exponential Cambrian explosion of like AI. I'm sure you've seen like how that is affecting like all your musician friends, right? Yeah. And so like, the whole point of this character in 2018 is I read that book and I saw this was all going to happen. Like fast forward now, 2023, it's happening. It's not super sentient yet, but, it's on the trajectory. So.
Well, and you always think like, what we know now that exists, like just on the internet, like ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff. It's like there's stuff on somebody's computer somewhere.
Yeah, but
without going conspiracy theory, but it's like we're so far behind. You know what I mean? There's something that's.
Yeah, but it's like when the democratization of music production, and like people can make like a hit record in the box, and like that was like such an outrage to traditional engineers and producers for some of them.
Well, the piano was an outrage to orchestras when it was invented, wasn't it? Because
Right.
they were like, you can just play all of the notes, you don't need all of us.
Yeah.
No, literally, you're right. People went on strike and all sorts, and they thought like, you can't have this.
I'm hanging up my bow.
Yeah.
God damn.
Mind you, we still love going to orchestras.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're like,
exactly.
we can't replicate that. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the same view. We're just going through that now with this AI stuff.
And are you using any of the AI generative tools in your work?
I've played with them, but I've decided, like, ethically, no. I just want everything at this point to be, because that's the irony. She's a fictional AI character, but I'm a human. And, like, I just want to put as much humanity as possible. And so it's really funny. The first song I ever put out as Vinci was called Citizen AI. And it was like, after I saw this Fear the Robot, and I was thinking, what does that mean, giving an AI citizenship,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? And so the song was super mid-tempo bass, electronic, industrial, and it's kind of ironic because it's citizen AI. But as I kept progressing, making songs through this character, I came back to my roots as a singer-songwriter and want to put more and more humanity. And actually, the song I'm working on now is with an orchestra.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so it's part of the upcoming, release with the novel and everything. So, I don't see myself as a genre artist. I kind of see myself as a storyteller and how I want to fit the sounds to said story. And so as I finished writing the novel, I realized how much emotion is put in this character, like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it felt like a human to me. So I was like, I've got to make this music feel super emotional,
Yeah.
Right. And that's the irony, because it's like she's positioned as this fictional AI character, but I'm like presenting her as like someone that's going through the entire human experience.
Yeah.
That's very singularity.
Right.
To merge the two. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting a bit Matrix for me. I don't know about you guys.
It's all,
It's
every
all-
day is the same. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show, Sami, aka Vinci. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
My mind has been blown. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Will, another great episode.
I love that she's doing so many out there things. What an interesting guest. Loved it.
Definitely. Well, all that's left to say is thank you for tuning in, and join us next time for more adventures into Studio Foreverdom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.